October the 7th. Glad to have you with us as soon as you get here. Larry's with us. He's been busy all weekend. Poor guy. He had one 5-minute break, and I had been hearing all kinds of news being spread around, and I sent him a text message, which I rarely do. And he had to spend his 5-minute break talking to me to try and let me know that what everybody's all worried about is, well, he's going to talk about it today, but we still don't have anybody showing. Whoops, I'm sorry, I forgot to turn off the volume. I watched the comments on my computer and the cell phone. We're up to 16 now. So I would suggest to everybody that you share this video. People will want to hear it. And if you go ahead and share it right now while we're waiting for Larry just waiting for a few more people to come. I'm putting it on Facebook and say, listen now. And so that's shared. All right. So hi, Hazel. Hi, Ann. Before you start, Larry, goodness, we had 25 and now we have 20. Maybe they went to share it and we'll be back. If you are Marsha Robinson, would you please text me at 240-499-6729? I think there might be a problem with your order. Anyhow, Mark asked if I knew who Marsha Robinson from Florida was, and I don't know who it is. So if you're Marsha Robinson, contact me, 240-499-6729, and let me put you in touch with Mark to solve whatever the issue is. All right, Larry, go ahead.
All right, folks. Well, I want to give everybody a little bit more time to get here because today is important for a couple of reasons. First, I want to deal with the new thing that's coming against the president. Adam Schiff, has literally gone too far. He is negotiating with China to try to get China to set President Trump up as though he were doing something illegal. Now, let me explain why. China, as I have told you over and over and over again, wants President Trump out of office now. The tariffs that he is putting on products from China is devastating their economy. Now, guys, when Schiff teams up with China, when Schiff and the Democrats team up with China, let me tell you what that means. China has taken tens of thousands of American jobs, hundreds of thousands of American jobs. President Trump is fighting to get those jobs back to Americans. So when Schiff and the gang team up with China to set Trump up, I can't imagine anything more vile that you could do to this country than what he's doing. It doesn't mean anything to Adam Schiff. It means nothing that they hurt this country. It means nothing. They want Trump. Why? Why is there such a movement so hard to get rid of Trump? Well, you now know after Friday's program, I hope you now know, President Trump is busting up a long-standing racket where politicians in Washington are able to extort, blackmail, pressure countries to benefit their own wealth. And President Trump is in the process of busting that up. And because of that, they don't want him. They got to get rid of him. China wants it the way it's been since NAFTA and GATT. They want it back the way they've had it, which totally abuses us. And for Adam Schiff to go in with China to support their abuse of this country is just literally beyond the pale. So watch for it. Know what's coming. China is going to play dirty. They're gonna say whatever they've got to say to hurt President Trump, and it will all be lies. Now, they also, Schiff and them, have come up with another whistleblower, so to speak. Supposedly, this whistleblower was directly connected to the phone calls. Well, guys, let me tell you about that whistleblower. The transcript is out of the conversation. What's he going to blow the whistle on? The full transcript of the conversation is out. So there's nothing he can say or she can say that should be allowed to have any bearing at all on the case. But will that stop them? No. No. They're going to keep going, keep driving it home. But remember, Pelosi is like a deer in headlights. She cannot call for a vote of the House, because if she does, it will be exposed about her son being a part of the same thing Biden's son was involved in. So she's in a tough spot, and nobody deserves it more than her. So watch for these things. The good news is President Trump is in a aggressive posture. He's going total war. He's going, instead of a defense mode, he's going offensive. And it's going to make a difference. You will see. Now, there's another thing happening. President Trump has announced that he's pulling our troops out of Syria. There's a lot of concern that him doing that puts the Kurds at risk. Now, folks, I've known much of the leadership of the Kurdish forces for years. They have never wanted Americans to fight their battles for them. What they want is support. They want equipment. They want weapons. President Trump made a pledge, if all of you remember, when he was running. And his promise was to get us out of these endless wars in the Middle East. Well, this is another example of promises made, promises kept. He's pulling 14,000 some odd of our troops out of Syria and turning the battle over to the Kurds, of which we're going to support and give them the weapons that they need.
Oh, may I ask a question? I understand Lindsey Graham is standing up against Trump. This is what I've been hearing. And
Lindsey Graham has always been a mouth organ for the military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex, both Lindsey Graham and John McCain, when he was alive, it was their job to keep us in as many wars as they could get us in, because as long as we're in wars, we're buying bullets and bombs and stuff from the military-industrial complex. So he's being pressured by his sugar daddies, the military industrial complex, to stay engaged. So don't put much stock in Lindsey Graham as far as any tactical reason or strategic reason why he would be against such a move. It's strictly because his sugar daddies want us in these wars.
But the question I was asking, if he's benefiting financially from war and the Kurds want to buy weapons, then doesn't he still benefit? The problem with his having to be against this?
No, because the level of weapons and such that we will provide to the Kurds won't do that much for the military industrial complex. It really won't. So don't think that they're going to be as tickled with providing weapons to the Kurds as they are to keep providing them to our military.
Okay.
Plus, they see the writing on the wall. If he's pulling us out of Syria, then they fully expect he'll be pulling us out of Afghanistan, Iraq, and other never-ending wars in the region. Now, let me tell you also, President Trump did the perfect thing. He went in with our military. He destroyed ISIS's caliphate. It's destroyed. So if there's ever going to be an opportune time to turn this battle over to the Kurds or to local armies, it's now, while the caliphate has been destroyed. It couldn't have been done while ISIS had the caliphate. It just couldn't have been done, but now it can. So it's actually a great move. Generals will not like it because generals want us in wars, so they get to be somebody. You know, a general, when we're not in a war, they're pretty worthless. Nobody knows about them. They don't get their names in the paper, so to speak. So they want us in war. That's been our problem. So many people want us in war for ulterior motives that we stay in them, and American lives are lost. There should not be another American life lost in Syria, Kurdistan, Iraq at all. Shouldn't be. Now, that brings me to another issue. And this is an issue that I don't want to talk about. I really don't. There is a foundational rule in politics, which is he who offends the least wins always. So we don't need me to go around offending people that we need to be with us. But something has come up that Mary Ellen has told me about that has me disturbed. Tell the audience what you've heard so we save my voice at least.
Okay. There's been a lot of people in the last 2 days, 3 days, talking about Trump having called up Marines and perhaps other military reservists. And everybody's speculating what this means. There are conversations, UN vehicles being seen moving across the country. There was an alert that went out yesterday, last night, saying that UN troops have been told to be on the move. That's written down over there. I don't want to go get it. That they were told to get ready to move. And so everybody is speculating about what this means. Everybody's very concerned about what this means. And very few people are talking about posse comitatus, that our own servicemen cannot fight war on our own soil. And so everybody's wondering what's going on, but they're not talking about posse comitatus. It's just, I just saw that once in somebody asking a question in the chat, and then the various program people didn't address that at all. And there's a lot of hysteria going on about what this means, and talking about the military supporting the police. Does this mean there are all these indictments people are gonna be arrested? Does this mean that civil war is coming? So I would imagine you all have heard the hoopla. And this was what Larry had to spend his 5-minute break talking to me about and settling me down, because I was just like, what is this about? He had told me on Saturday that this was, or yesterday, that this was nothing, and then, or Saturday had told me, and then yesterday called me to say, no, this is, go ahead, Larry.
Well, there are a couple of things that Mary Ellen told me that people are talking about a hot coup. The coup's gone hot. Now, when I hear talk like that, guys, that's movie talk. It's not the way the military talks about a coup. And let me tell you, with the people I'm in contact with, if there was any validity to this at all, I would have heard about it. I would have heard about it. This is another example of what I try to warn y'all against. This is getting everybody hootered up, and then I hope nobody in this audience is spreading this story, because, folks, it's not true. It's not true. The coup's not, quote unquote, going hot. The coup has been very effective in the state it has been in since it started, which is technically a soft coup. They're doing quite well at disrupting President Trump. They're doing quite well, they believe, at getting close to outing him. So there's no reason for them to take it to a different level. There's two kinds of coups. There's the one that's a soft coup, which is handled from within, and a signature of a soft coup is they use the media. The first thing they take in a soft coup is the media. Now, in a traditional or regular coup, that's the one you see when the military, they take the military, then the military surrounds the Capitol, and then they force the leadership to resign and get out. That's the coup. We're not at that one. There's no reason for that. And as far as activating troops, guys, we have been, since we got in the war in Afghanistan and Iraq, we have been in a situation where we have used reserve and National Guard troops to augment regular service. You know, the applications to join the military have fallen off. And so now they have to augment the forces with reserve and guard units. So it's not uncommon for a guard unit or a reserve unit to get notified that they're being activated. But in most cases, they're being activated to do one of two things: either to go to Iraq, Afghanistan, somewhere in the Middle East, or they're to go to an American base while a regular unit is deployed. And they maintain the bases here. So don't think that just because a unit is getting notified or getting called, just don't think it's about taking over or fighting here in the streets. It's not. It's not. Now, the other thing, UN troops. We have UN troops all over the United States. We do. Most are here as a part of joint training exercises. Most are here to learn our equipment, which brings to mind we are the largest shipper of military vehicles in the world. So it's not strange that as we ship materials, vehicles, that they transport them across our nation on the highways to get them to the deportation points. So you're going to see that. But all of this together is not signs that we are fixing to go in to a civil war, to a war within the states, etc., etc. None of that means that. The problem's going to be if you're telling people this story, if you're telling them, and it doesn't pan out, because it's not going to pan out, then whoever you've told is going to think we're crazy. You just can't do it, guys. You just can't do it. I have promised you. I have. You know I have. I have promised you that anything like this that might be real, that is about to take place or is starting to take place, I've warned you. I've told you. I'll tell you. You'll know it's true because I'll tell you, and it will happen if I do. But when you hear it coming from this overexcited internet entertainment world, you just can't buy into it. You just can't. Please don't. You know, this story and a lot of stories like this get credibility by circle reporting. So one person that you listen to hears part of it, and then he tells it, and another person that you listen to heard that person tell it, so then they add to it and tell it, and then a third person hears what both of them said, they add to it, and they tell it. And then so many people are getting proof of it. Hearing it from one host to another is not proof. It's not. But that's what's going on. So I bet a lot of you are mad at me. I don't want you to be. I don't want to hurt any host. I don't want you to turn away from any host that you enjoy listening to. I'm not asking that, and I'm not knocking any host and saying they're not credible and don't ever believe. I'm not saying that. Hosts can get fun. They can't. I'm just telling you that the story that's circulating now is not true. And I say it with the same strength that I told you there were no 100-something sealed indictments. Because as you know, they've never happened. So with that, Mary Ellen, let's take phone calls. Let's take missed questions. Guys, pour them to me. Ask what you want.
Nature Girl says, what about the Antifa threat to Trump's October rally? they're saying about the Minnesota rally, America is canceled. Isn't that a general threat of violence?
Well, there is a good chance, a very good chance, that Antifa will start violence. They will. One day, Antifa is going to lead to violence. One day. It is. Now, I don't know if it's that day that you're talking about. I don't know when they will ignite the violence, but they will one day. Just be careful. Be careful then.
The Oath Keepers put out a call. The Oath Keepers, I understand, put out, it was shared on Facebook anyway, that the Oath Keepers had put out a call asking anybody available to come and help protect people who are going to the rally. I think it's October 10th in Minneapolis, I think, somewhere up that way. And they were asking people to come and help escort participants back and forth from their car to, they said it'll be safe inside, but the question is, how safely can you get from your car to the venue and back to your car after dark because of them not? There was concern and risk of big demonstrations and violence with the ones that I went to in Pennsylvania, especially not the first one so much, but later. I would go, Terry. I wouldn't worry about it. First of all, in Pennsylvania, it was a small group. One sec, Larry. But it was a small group, but the police had a large presence there that was really great about protecting. So, go ahead, Larry.
Well, I'm very proud of the Oath Keepers because a show of numbers helping people go and participate in the event is a good thing. Now, are they running a risk of violence? Yes. But if they go, just the sheer numbers of it all protect the participants. Don't not go to this event. Then Antifa wins. If you were planning on going to this event, then go. Go. There should never be a day in America when Antifa can stop patriots from showing up for events. There should never be a day. And I salute the Oath Keepers for asking what matters is when one or two people are trying to walk along to their car of an evening. That's when you're at risk. But now, if you've got 4 or 5 people that are walking, you're much safer. But whatever you do, folks, if you're planning to go to the event,
hang on. Wait a second, Larry, you broke up really badly. You said if you're planning on going to the event, what?
If you're planning on going, do not let Antifa into not showing up. Do not. What you got, Miriam?
Well, James wonders why the Marines can't arrest Adam Schiff for treason. Now, I heard something over the weekend that there's a difference between treason and insurrection, and that they were claiming that with all this thing going on this weekend, I'll talk about this. They were saying that the military can arrest for insurrection, but not for treason. I don't know.
Inside the confines of the United States of America, the military cannot arrest a soul unless it is a military person. They can arrest a soldier for wrongdoing, but they cannot arrest citizens. They just can't do it. Police and FBI, you know, at the leadership of the Department of Justice are the ones that make arrests. Don't get that wrong, folks. It doesn't matter if it's treason or insurrection or playing tiddlywinks. They can't do it. What you got?
That's all we've got so far.
Well, folks, I'm surprised. I thought you'd hit me pretty hard since I came out against the stories of the hot coup, as it were. If y'all got questions, get them in. I'll take them. It won't bother me.
Somebody says bring mace, pepper spray, flashlight. How much rope do they want to borrow?
Well,
We've traded
look,
in Gitmo.
it is going. Antifa. There's one thing I think that keeps Antifa from going all the way. Just so y'all know. Now, this is my opinion. My opinion. But I believe that Antifa is being held back from some of the violence and the riots that they would just love to do because of FEMA. Remember, the automatic trigger for FEMA is 5 major riots in 5 major cities at the same time. That triggers FEMA provisional government. And at that point, that would mean that President Trump would declare, or he would declare, it would be declared martial law. They don't want FEMA provisional government to take hold with President Trump sitting as the president. They don't want it. So there's a good chance that's what's keeping down the violence from Antifa. But don't think they won't start with 1 or 2 places and cause trouble and riots. You know, our country is set up now perfectly for Antifa to cause trouble with the sanctuary cities, the sanctuary counties, the sanctuary states. Antifa is free to roam in those areas and do just about anything they want to do. So be careful with Antifa. Do not fear them. Just be careful. Any questions, Mary Ellen?
Yeah, several have come in now. Kevin asked, would some form of martial law have to be declared in order for the military to be able to make arrests?
Yes. Yes. It would be not some form, it would have to be martial law declared. And then if martial law is declared, then the military would be in a position at that point, if needed, meaning if local police, state police can't handle the situation, the military could be allowed to make arrests. Yes, but it's under martial law only.
Okay, Pam says Tlaib is spouting about arresting the cabinet. Isn't that a coup?
Well, it's all right, let me answer that. With her spouting it off the way she is, it would be that she is trying to invoke a traditional coup, but she would not have and does not have the power to achieve such a goal. She doesn't. Tlaib and all of them must operate under the soft coup rules. They don't have the strength to pull off a major coup. So yes, to answer your question, Pam, yes, what she's saying is she's calling for a quote-unquote traditional coup. However, she would have to have the military to go in with her, and the military is not going to go in with her. Not against President Trump. No way.
Okay, that answers the other question that I can't remember if I told you, where they were discussing last night whether half the military would stay with Trump and half would be willing to support a coup, and then they'd be fighting each other. John Doe says, we don't have any more questions. We've asked everything we need to ask. We're just waiting for the other shoe to drop and see if justice still exists in this country.
As I have told y'all before, I can't tell you exactly how I know, but I ask you to believe me when I say I know. William Barr and Durham, they are doing the investigations the way they should be done. The delay that's getting everybody frustrated is the magnitude of the crime that has been committed against the United States of America and this president. They must dot every I and cross every T. They must be as close to perfect with their cases as they can possibly be. One mistake and everything is lost forever. So don't be upset that it's taken time. Be proud that it's taken time. Now, if we find when they are ready, Durham and Barr, if we find when they're ready and it comes to Andrew McCabe, if his disposition of the case with McCabe is that they let him off, that they do not impanel a grand jury or indict, one of those two, if they don't do that, then I'm telling you today that we have trouble, because that would mean fairly straight up to me, anyway, my opinion, that would mean to me that Barr's been stringing us along and he's deep state still. But I have not seen anything to lead me to believe that he will be taking any other posture than to go after McCabe. Now, I know some of you are wondering, because I was asked this morning, what about the Inspector General Horowitz's report, his FISA report? Well, his FISA report is in the hands of Barr. Barr will be the one that determines when it's released and how much of it is released to the public. There was a new development in the case of the FISA reports when Tom Fenton of Judicial Watch, when they uncovered 2 emails from Rosenstein to Mueller, where they were conspiring and working together to set up President Trump. So they are having to modify their findings now that they've got proof. Rosenstein, who was acting director of the Department of Justice, was conspiring with Mueller. But it's coming. It will come. But it's got to come at a time when we have a shot at prosecuting the people involved. And I don't need to tell y'all again that part of the problem there is the judicial system that we've got to take it in front of. What else?
Who controls corporate media? Is it the banksters?
Who controls corporate media? Well, corporate media is controlled technically by its ownership, and then secondarily, it's controlled by its advertisers. Now, in the old days, corporate media was controlled by its advertisers. But today, corporate media is controlled by its owners. Now, who are the owners? You'll be amazed that 60% of the media in this country, 60% either by Disney or Comcast. Disney or Comcast. And both of those are very much anti-Trump. Both of those are very supportive of socialism, if you can believe it. And I say that because if we go on and become a socialist country, they'll be the first to go. They think if we become a socialist country, that they'll have it made and they'll be considered the quote-unquote state-run media. But I assure you, under socialism, their world will shrink and get worse, but they're too stupid to know it. What else you got, Miriam?
Okay. We're going to pass on this, but I'm just going to read it. Any more news on the indictments coming down the pipe? What have you heard? I hear they're going to come out within 2 weeks. So here again, we know the source. And so you've addressed it enough times. We're going to move on.
Well, let me address it again.
And why?
Where do we stand on the indictments? The indictments, I believe, my opinion, they are coming. Just when they're coming, I don't know. It's not my call. What?
And if Adam Schiff is guilty of treason, insurrection, sedition, why doesn't somebody arrest him?
Well, because he is a member of Congress. Now, by that, folks, you have to understand Congress governed by the laws we are. You got it? They're not. Now, that doesn't mean he could get by with treason necessarily, but it's much harder with the protection afforded members of the House and the Senate. It's much easier for them to do things and get by with it than it would be, for example, for me or you, citizens. They're not governed by the same laws. Let me give you an example to prove that, so you know. Most of you should remember when the FBI raided Newt Gingrich's office when he was still a member of the House. Remember that? They raided his office and they took documents out. What you may not know is the FBI had to bring all the documents back because they had no jurisdiction to go get them from his office, since he was a member of the House, United States House of Representatives. They couldn't just go and get his documents. Now, go ahead.
Okay, Hazel heard that FEMA has been activated.
Has not. Hazel, FEMA has not been activated. It is a matter of FEMA rules, regulations, and protocol. The day it is activated, or the second it is activated, immediately there is a media blitz to alert the people of the country. Since a part of FEMA is martial law, they are required to notify the people. So if somebody's telling you FEMA's been activated, they're wrong. I'm not going to say they're lying. I'm just going to say they're wrong. It cannot happen that way. Will not happen that way. What else?
So it could be well, I'm going to speculate. It could be somebody low level who has been, I don't know, something's happening and they're reporting. So I'm not going to go any further than that. Do you think there'll be actual?
I don't think there's any low-level person that would have anything to do with FEMA in any way that could stumble over that mistake. It's not going to happen. When FEMA is activated, folks, trust me, you will all know, and you won't have to worry about it coming from me. You'll hear it loud and clear.
Do you think there'll be actual fighting against the government once Trump leaves office, whenever that is? And who do you think is most likely to do the fighting against the government?
Well, this gets into the area that I've talked about for a long time now. Who are you going to shoot? Who's going to shoot whom? Who? Do we, if the military is obligated when President Trump leaves office, either forced through impeachment or out during his election, when he leaves office, if people are so upset that they want to challenge it and start fighting and get their guns out and do whatever, it will be the military that's obligated to defend the Capitol, the next president, whatever. Who are we going to shoot in the military? They're our sons, daughters, husbands, and wives. We don't want to shoot them. Do we want to shoot the police? The police are our sons, daughters, husbands, wives. See, it's easy to talk about war inside this country, civil war. It's easy to talk about. But it's hard to pick who's on which side. It's complicated. It's complicated. Now, I'm not telling you that there's not a day coming, someday, maybe, when, I don't know, that we don't end up fighting. I don't know. But the only time I see us being able to actually engage in warfare would be a time when the people that we would fight would possibly be foreign troops, maybe. But if it's Americans, I don't see us shooting each other. I just don't. What you got?
Why hasn't Antifa been designated a terrorist group? I thought they had.
Well, I'm like you. I thought they had been identified as a domestic terrorist organization. But in any event, if they haven't, or if they have and just nobody acts on it, it's because they're in line with the deep state. They're performing the task the deep state needs performed. The media protects them. Congress protects them. The deep state. What you got?
Hazel asks, are the Marine Reserves being called to protect D.C.?
Say again?
Are the Marine Reserves being called to protect D.C.? I think you've answered this person may a little later, but
right. No, they are not. They have not been called up. As I said earlier, Hazel, in the program, if they have been called up, It would be a unit or two, and they
It'll be
would be called up to either augment standing forces that are being deployed to the Middle East or somewhere, or they're being called up to go to the Middle East to replace a regular Army unit or regular Marine unit.
Hazel
What you got?
says the Marine orders seen on a military site mentioned they're being activated for martial law.
Hazel, wherever you saw that, it is not true.
So Debbie says it's on the Marine government website.
I can't help if it's on the president's website. It is not true.
Okay. John Doe asks if you think the Democrats are going. Do you think the Democrats are going to try and run somebody against AOC in the primary? And if not, do you think the Republicans have a chance of winning the district from her?
I believe the Democrats will run somebody against her in their primary. I don't know if they have a chance of beating her. The Republicans, to my knowledge, if they do run, so I know they're running one lady, or one lady's running as a Republican, but a Republican, I don't believe, has a chance in that district of beating her. I just don't, my opinion. But it's an awfully, awfully, awfully liberal district. And I mean liberal to the point of hippies and yippies.
James asks, why isn't Graham investigating anything? It seems like they're just spectators.
James, that's a question that I asked. As a matter of fact, it's a question that I know President Trump has asked. Why does he not start investigations with his committee to get to the bottom of all this? Now, the answer given is that he's waiting for Barr and Durham to complete their investigations before he gets involved and muddies things up. But that's not a sufficient answer. Lindsey Graham, by all rights, should take his committee and hold hearings and stuff right now. He should be paralleling shift on the Senate side, but he's not. And I would say, guys, that kind of tells us point blank that Graham's not quite as pro-Trump as he wants us to believe at times.
Which is what I keep saying. Is this just a trick to stay in office?
Yes. I will say this about Lindsey Graham. If Trump ever gets in serious trouble, and I'm talking serious trouble, Graham will be one of the first people to jump ship.
So Kevin says, are there any other instances for creating martial law, declaring martial law besides 5 riots in 5 cities?
Well, the other situation to trigger martial law or FEMA provisional government is the president would have to go to Congress and get Congress to vote and approve to put us into martial law. And I don't see that happening because it would require 2/3 vote in the House and the Senate. And I don't believe President Trump could get 2/3 vote because the Democrats are not going to let him head up martial law. They're just not.
Paul asked, do you think Cortez and the other wacky women in Congress are a plot to turn women from voting for Trump in the second term?
Well, I don't my opinion, this is my opinion, Paul, I don't think it's a plot beyond the 4 squad people, maybe a couple more, but I don't think it's a plot with like the DNC, because the DNC is not happy with the way they have taken over the House. I mean, they're more in charge of the House, United States House of Representatives. The Democratic Party they're more in charge of it than Pelosi is right now. And no one in the party is all that excited about that. So I don't think it's an orchestrated big time plot. Now, maybe in their minds, the 4 of them, they may be working and plotting and planning, but I don't believe it's a party-wide plot.
Pam is wondering, do you think patriot militia would start uprisings to invoke martial law?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it would be based off the premise of why martial law was brought into effect. And when I say martial law, remember, I'm talking the FEMA provisional government, which is more than just martial law. I don't know. I don't know what militias would do in that situation. I know this: if we are forced into FEMA provisional government or with martial law, the militia would have a very tough time gathering strength enough to do anything about it.
Okay, next question. Talib and Omar are terrorists. Why are they in government?
The people in their district is why they're in government. Why? Why would the people in their district elect them? That's the part that gets me. I understand Omar and Talib. I understand them. They hate this country. They hate everything about America. I understand it. What I don't understand are the people in their district to elect people like that. That makes no sense. The people in their district cannot all be Muslim. They can't all be anti-Americans. Yet they elected them. What you got?
Reverend David says Christians need to be praying between October 13 and November 4th. More than ever, those are satanic ritual dates, summoning demonic power. So, are there?
I would agree with that. I would agree with that because I must tell y'all, not being overly a religion kind of person, but sometimes I feel that it's Satan's got his hands in all of this. I really feel that way. Maybe I can't prove it. I don't know how you do that in religion stuff, but it would take somebody like Satan to achieve the massive power that they've got and to use it the way they're using it on an entire nation. I mean, think about it, folks. We're the most prosperous, successful nation probably in the history of the world. And yet, somehow we can be destroyed from within. If that doesn't reek of demons involved, I don't know what does. What you got?
Are there, JJ says, are there any plans to oust CAIR, CAIR, jihad training camps and mosques and the refugee large groups in Minnesota and Michigan? Well, I think there's 6 different big ones in Tennessee too.
Now, are there any what?
Plans to oust them.
No, I don't know of any. Now, I'm not saying that as a point of, I guarantee you there's not, but I don't know of any. And I don't know the premise by which they would be set up. So, I don't know.
Okay, Giggles asked, is Soros really in jail? Will he stay there till trial?
I do not know if he's in jail. As far as my opinion is he's not. Mainly, even if he was arrested, even if he was captured or whatever, he has enough money to bond himself out of anything that he could get into. So I don't see it as being realistic to believe that he would still be in jail, even if he was put there. My opinion.
Whatever became.
I don't think anybody's proved yet that he was in jail or is or was even arrested. I don't know that anybody's proven that yet.
Whatever became of Dan Lassiter?
To my knowledge, he's still alive. And as far as I know, he's still at some level, last I heard, still in the drug business.
Why isn't Graham subpoenaing people and working for Trump against his cabal? Why does he sit there threatening to investigate and do nothing?
Well, we've talked about that already, and that's the $64,000 question. You know, why? Why hadn't he?
Okay. All right, you've answered the next question. Somebody heard that Trump may not run in 2020. What would happen if he doesn't?
Not true at all. Not true at all. President Trump is planning to run, and he has a very aggressive campaign strategy planned. And what would happen if he chooses to not run? I'm scared to think. Scared to think about that. What else you got? We're just about out of time.
Somebody heard Romney might challenge him.
Heard the same. But Romney running anybody running against President Trump in the Republican primary does not scare me. That doesn't bother me at all. What bothers me is somebody like Romney running during the general election as an independent or a third party. That scares me because remember, I've told you before, you may have forgotten, but all a ringer would have to get, now I'm talking about a third party candidate, which is called a ringer. All a ringer would have to get would be 4 to 6 points, 4 to 6% of the vote. And it would fairly well guarantee Trump would lose the general election.
Yeah, that's the danger.
Hmm.
James has a cute idea. If you want to stop Antifa from violence at the Trump rally, put out a Warcraft expansion on the same day. They'll stay home to play games.
Probably so. I like your style, James. I like your style. How many people are with us now, Mary Ellen?
129.
Wow.
Oh, I haven't been watching. Okay, if nothing is done with all the deep state criminals in our government, eventually people will lose it, storm DC, and take them out. What do you think of that idea?
Eventually what?
He thinks that people will storm DC and take the criminals out themselves.
Will not happen.
Because you can't get past the security.
Well, it's not, yeah, it's that. But I'm going to tell you, all of this rallying millions of people and storming DC, I hadn't seen it happen yet. Hadn't seen it happen. You got to understand, the minute that is brought up, the minute people start talking about that seriously, the media is going to be all over it. And they're going to convince, every married person has a spouse, and the spouse is going to say, you go down and do that, I'll divorce you. I mean, they can apply so much pressure, family pressure, that people just back out. That's why we don't have big rallies. And then, the Right to Life rally. Every year they have it. And as I'm told, I have not been there, but I'm told every year it's not uncommon to get 700,000 to 1 million some odd people to show up. But the media don't cover it. The media won't cover it hardly at all. Now you get Antifa. Antifa could have a rally and less than 100 people show up and the media will be all over it. It's the media bias, folks. The media controls what the American people hear, or more importantly, what the American people don't hear. One last one. What you got?
Well, thanks for the compliments, folks. Will the Clinton Foundation be exposed?
Yes. Yes. The Clinton Foundation is going to be exposed as a part of exposing this scam that's been going on for years with politicians and how they extort money from smaller nations that we give aid to. And remember, I've told you once, but it's worth saying again. When Hillary lost her election for president this last time, overnight, literally overnight, the Clinton Foundation donations dropped by half. By half. Now, why do I tell you that? Well, remember, if the Clinton Foundation was being funded by all of these people around the world, these leaders of countries and oligarchs, rich people in these other countries, if they were doing that, if they were supporting it for the good deeds that the foundation supposedly does, their donations wouldn't have dropped that much. But what it's telling you is that when she lost, all of the leverage and pressure she had promised these rich countries or people, everything she told them she could do for them, they realized when she lost, she couldn't do it. So they quit funding her. And that tells you she was in big time. She was big time into extortion. And by the way, part of the case against the foundation is the significance of the financial support dropping after she lost. I mean, that provides prima facie evidence for work with. Anything else that we left out?
Can the FCC revoke licenses of the media giants for their overt bias and partisan political content?
Yes, they could, but no, they won't. That committee FCC is totally controlled by people that profit by doing what the media wants them to do.
Say again, you broke up.
It's probably one of the FCC most crooked organizations in Washington, D.C. It is almost exclusively pay to play. Now, one thing I must ask today, guys, I haven't had the medicine I have to have for the day. I need your help to get it. I need your help desperately. So I'm going to get off, and Mary Ellen, you can tell them how to do it if they don't know.
Okay.
Are there any other questions before I go?
Now, people are asking if Hillary's going to come in as a last minute candidate, but you've said you don't know, but don't put anything past her, but the Clintons never say die. So we'll see.
All right.
So, thank you, Larry, for being here.
Please.
Yeah. You're breaking up, so we can hear you. Larry, you're breaking up, so I'll come here for you.
I said I need your help because I was interested on what this thing with China is leading up to. I will keep you ahead, give you a heads up about it. With that, y'all have a good day, Mary Ellen. Take it over.
Thanks. I'm just going to put in the website and just leave it at that then. I'm sorry. Thank you for being here. Oh, okay. I don't know what happened. Nichols live at AOL.com is his PayPal. So I don't call him, I don't text him. And so when he got that text from me, I wait for him to contact me. Usually he just contacts me to tell me how much money he still needs for the day. And, I try to find it. And he's got a couple other people that have been donating. and helping him an awful lot through it. And both of them can't do any more. And so he's really in a desperate spot today. And I said he's been working till, 11 in the morning, 11 at night, 4 in the morning. He's just, let me tell you, there's a lot of work being done to try and help protect our president. So I have no idea what he's doing, how he's doing it, who he's doing it with. I have no clue. And I don't need to know, because then I can't be held liable for what I know. So I'm as much in the dark as you are, and he tells us all at the same time. So anything anybody can sacrifice to help him is very, very greatly appreciated. Thank you for being here. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember, on Tuesdays, he goes on with Jason, usually at this time at 2 Central. And when he doesn't go on with Jason, then we have the program at this regular time. Last week, Jason had his show at the regular time, but Jason was not available at the regular time, so he actually recorded Larry at 11 in the morning, and then this time was it was just a playback that he did. So I don't know what'll happen tomorrow. The expectation is that he'll be on with Jason at 2 Central, and then we'll come on as soon as he's done there. So if we're late, starting an hour late tomorrow, but I will put it in the title of this show for tomorrow, what the plan is. Right now, it's going to say, Live with Larry Nichols will happen after Jason Goodman's interview. And if that changes, then just be watching and just keep a heads up on that. So thanks for being here. God bless you. We'll talk tomorrow. Bye.